take a load off and relax now, 'cause we're drinking with
Sounds like
Bronson.
All right. Dude, it's been a long time. Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year.
How have you been? Like, I missed you at Worlds. So, like,
I know.
we're both there. I didn't catch you on that.
I have a funny story with that. So I was in line to see James White, and I was really excited because I've never met him before. And I see like 20 people in front of me. It's you, and you have a bag, and you just got your stuff signed, and you looked really happy. And I was like, "Oh, cool! It's Michael. I'm gonna meet with him later on." That didn't happen. Like, I guess you had something else to do, but I was like, "Where the hell is this guy?" I looked all around for you, but I think afterwards you said like you had like a tight deadline, and you could only like make it for like the day.
Well, yeah, I forget exactly why it was a day or so, whatever. But I was only there for a day. I was kind of rushed because of work and combination of things.
Mhm.
And I also had some friends because I used to live in San Jose. So I had to meet up with friends. So I didn't play in the calling. I didn't play at Worlds, all that. I just came there to say hi, meet James White, and meet everybody as I can. So I was at the camp, not the campsite. Well, look like a campsite, the giant tent.
It was
It's
essentially
like
a campsite.
Yeah, it's like a giant campsite in San Jose. But no, I went there and just wanted to meet everybody, hang out. I didn't want to play because I didn't keep up the meta.
Mhm.
So I knew I was getting my ass handed to me. So I was like, oh, fuck it, whatever. I was going to go and have fun. So I had some friends locally, met them, and I was like, okay, I'll try to run in Bronson, some other people. I saw who I saw, and I was like, all right, well, fuck. I got James White's, signature mat and all that. That's pretty cool. Said hi to him, but didn't really. I was there like a few hours each day.
Yeah, and I felt the same way. Like when we met each other, or I don't think we met each other in Vegas, but we both competed in the tournament and we got to day two. And like I had fun there, but then after I was done day two, I was just so exhausted and it took a lot out of me. But with San Jose, it was nice. I was like, you know what? I don't know anything with the meta. I could run Bravo, but like I really haven't, played in a while, so I'm really not up to speed. So I just hung out with a lot of content creators and walked around and competed in side events, and it was a lot more fun. Like objectively for me, or I guess subjectively for me, it was just a lot more fun than actually competing in the main event because like you can like have more freedom to do whatever you want. You can talk to people, get signatures, dude, like all the Legend Story Studio staff was there. I was blown away. Did you see them?
Oh yeah, I ran into them at like the coffee shop across the street. They're like, hey, are you Salty Well? I'm like, oh shit, hey, how you doing?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I was like, oh, they're like, hey, what are you buying over here? I'm like, I don't know, I'm some random shit, whatever. But so it's kind of funny. Like, I was like, oh wait, I had to like think about who it was for a minute. I'm like, oh yeah, great, man. I haven't seen you for a long time. So it's kind of cool, having LSS come to me like, oh.
Yeah, I was totally geeking out. I saw like Chris Gearing and MJ Fatezio and Nikki, of course James White, and then Jason Chung. All of these like Legend Story Studio staff that I've heard about and I've talked about a lot on my channel, but I've never like seen them in real life. So it's just like a moment where you're the peanut M&M and you're looking at Santa and you're like, oh, they do exist, I don't know.
No, it's fantastic meeting them. And then I talked to Chris Gearing, how do you say his last name, a lot in Jersey, because I went to the Jersey, the first, was it Pro Tour?
I believe so.
Yeah. I went to the first Pro Tour out there in Jersey. Got to talk to him for a bit. So it was cool. There's only a few LSS there, but it's great seeing them because they made a big impact on your life. So playing the game, collecting it, get to actually see the people involved in it. It's like a little surreal, a little bit. You're like, oh my god! It's like starstruck. You're like, oh my god, you made all the cards I like. And
I for sure was. I mean, it's just like you talk about this, and I feel like because a lot of these video games and other type of medium that you interact with on a daily basis, you don't really know who created it, and you don't get to like see them in person and talk to them. But when you're like well, I guess with me and you, we're obsessed with Flesh and Blood. So when you see them in person, you're like, whoa! Like I've been talking about Flesh and Blood for the last 2 years, and here you are. Like the people who like created the stuff, because the lore book, especially, MJ had a booth, and I just like talked and was like, hey, like that book is just amazing, just the level of detail and everything like that, and talking about certain elements of it, and it's just a really good insight into just like how everything unfolded.
well, the thing about the LSS too is they're not a mom and pop shop, but they're a small group of people that have grown really big, right? So
Yeah.
you think about these other companies like video games and all that, they're usually like very, very, very massive teams making it. So it's kind of hard to associate with it, except maybe like the director level. But with LSS, like everyone has a key component to making that game successful.
Yeah,
So
and MJ told me a story where when they first started, right, in October, I think 2019, and when Welcome to Wrath, was released, they had their first event, and it was like 100 people, and it was like such a big deal for them. Like, whoa, 100 people actually showed up to play this game, and then 2 years later, they're filling out huge, the biggest tent in the world. So it's quite accomplishments all across the board. And can you believe, man, they're already on their ninth set? Like Outcast is ninth set. It blows me away.
to be honest, I'm really excited about the new set. As I mentioned before, like I haven't kept up with the meta, but the new set has 6 heroes in it. And
Yeah.
even if I'm not keeping up the meta, I'm excited to draft it. Like
Yeah.
this one just looks really fun to play because you have multi-class cards now. You got no arcane damage. It's just fucking brawl fest. So I like draft with the is it Dynasty or Uprising? I mean, I like draft with that, but I didn't love it. So I'm really looking forward to the 6 hero system. So you have a lot of options to play as. So
Yeah, I totally agree because I feel like with the other system or with Uprising, the previous draftable set, there's more of a chance to get screwed from what I've heard from one of the people in my locals, Tom. He was saying it incentivizes you more to auto pick pack one, which is bad. You shouldn't try to just force a hero pack one, but it incentivizes you more that because if you try to switch in pack two, you could get really boned. And like if 4 players in your pod are trying to draft the same class, you're bad. But in this new set, yeah, you could go for Ranger. And then you could get to pack two and like, oh well, I am going to definitely do this Ranger instead of that one. So it really opens you up. I'm looking forward to it.
and the multi-class cards allow you to pivot too. You're like, okay, well I'm a Ranger,
Exactly.
but now I have the Assassin Ranger card. Okay, so stack up with those dual class cards, allows you to hop around too. So
Yeah.
So I find it harder to keep up the meta as longer the game comes out because it takes a lot of dedication. So like a lot of these players in the Seattle group are constantly playing, even professional players, and even people myself who Discord are playing all the time. I kind of lost track of it a little bit because I started dating again and all that shit. So I'm like, oh man, like real life stuff, started happening. I'm like, okay, well then, okay, I took a little backburn on playing the game. I'm like, oh shit, like I can't play in this calling right now. I can't do all that stuff. So I was like, all right, I want something simple. So this next set looks really cool for at least my viewpoint to jump back into the game a little bit.
Oh, for real. And I think that's just natural part of life. Everyone gets bit. I'm in the same boat. Sometimes I have like tons of time to devote to Flesh and Blood. Others, I go like a month or two where I just don't have as much time to play. But I think what's great too is like net decking is such a good thing to do. Like I heard there was this British guy in Worlds, and he said he had been out of the game for Flesh and Blood for a while, and 2 weeks before Worlds, he just net decked, and he asked one of his really smart friends who's been playing, hey, what deck should I play? Oh, play Fi? Okay. And they just net decked, got a really good deck, and then learned it in 2 weeks and then played. So I think that's a really important thing to, know is if you're not keeping up with the meta, and you're getting back into it, rely on people who've been in it for a while to help you like construct a good deck.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it too. And the deck too, you can also play a Talishar online, and then you could net deck it really quickly. And you're like, okay, shit, okay, I need to buy the cards to build my deck. So there's a lot of ways to go about it without being too expensive either.
Yep.
So
and that Talishar, man, that's picked up huge steam. What is it? There's that guy Mansant, and he's playing games all day, and just listening to him and how he's thinking about the strategy in the game just kind of puts me back because I play Bravo and I'm like, well, do I block or do I swing with the hammer? Like it's very simplistic mindset, but he's like doing all this mental math to see if he should roll scab skins and if he has enough damage to push for lethal. It's quite good commentary. Have you listened to him do his live stream with Talishar?
No, but I kind of want to watch it now. I mean, because I never think that complicated. I'm like, okay, I play Katsu usually. I'm like, how big can I make my combo? Okay, make it big. Okay, I'm gonna probably go block this turn, and then I'm gonna wait till I get my massive crazy ass turn, whatever.
Yeah, the McGenshi stuff or
Surging Strike. I haven't updated with the new stuff with the Crouching Tiger stuff. So I haven't done that route yet, but I'm still like old school from like the like year ago type deck with some Everfest stuff into it. So I haven't really updated that much. and a little bit of Uprising, but no, it's still a good deck, but it's not meta, and I haven't kept up with meta. And then if I play anybody with ice, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, yeah. So that's what I'm like. All right, well, how do I get back into it? All this ice. That's where you had to say you got to talk to someone who's been playing, or if I want to be lazy, I could just play his new Blitz decks coming out, or I could play the draft or sealed decks. So that's where I'm probably getting back into it.
I started playing Icelander, and I thought it was going to be cool because I like control, but after playing it for a bit, I was like, oh, this deck is just being a dick the whole time. Like your opponent wants to do something, you're like, nope, you can't do that fun thing. Here's some frostbite tokens, like, and they're like, damn it, and then they redo their math in their head and they do something less, and it's it's just it stalls out the game a lot, and your opponent just has to put a lot more brain power. It's funny, but it's crazy how Michael Hamilton like pulled it off. Like watching the gameplay there. Did you watch the World's gameplay with him playing?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, dude, there's this one game he had that was legendary, where he used a brain freeze to look at his opponent's hand, and he saw a Sink Below, I believe, or a Fate Foreseen, right? So next turn, he sees that his opponent put something in Arsenal, and then he mentally figures out that they put a Sink Below in the Arsenal, and he didn't attack with physical the rest of the game. So he gunked up his opponent's Arsenal by like not attacking with physical and just doing arcane for the rest of the game. And he was doing a mirror against another Icelander. And at the end of the game, it showed, yep, it was a Sink Below. It's like wild.
That's pretty fucked up, but funny at the same time. But yeah. All right, well, now you lost your Arsenal. Okay, that's a big deal for Icelander too.
I mean, I would have never thought about it like that, like going into that matchup. And I mean, you have that type of deal when you're going up against a Kano, and I've learned that the hard way. Like I put a defense react in Arsenal and just like against Kano, and you get screwed over. But it was interesting to see him not only like do that strategy, but it was pulled off with the brain freeze. It was just wild.
Yeah, I love watching the games and hearing about it too, especially since people are dedicated. And this game's so complex, and there's so many different things to do. It's fun, but I'm looking for a simplistic gameplay next set to get back in. But what have you been collecting lately? So are you still stocking up on your bulk? Are you 1%?
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Yet?
I'm almost 1%er. I will say that. I don't want to disclose too much. I don't want to put too much hope and prayers into certain transactions that may or may not be pending, but I think I may be a 1%er soon, which will be pretty cool. Like 2022 is the year of just me acquiring a lot of alpha and Arcane Rising first edition bulk. Like a lot of game stores just fire sold it at like 20 cents a piece because they just, they needed the capital, or just it wasn't selling. Probably it wasn't selling. I bought a lot on TCG Player, but I'm just going to be happy to get 1%. Recently, Jason from Deck Edge, shout out to him. He runs a game store. He was able to hook me up with some BCW, or not BCW, the card sleeves. I have I'm looking at 30,000 of those card sleeves.
Oh, you're sleeving every single one of them?
Yeah, I think I'm going to sleeve all the alpha bulk. It's going to take a long ass time. I'm doing my rainbow foils. I should have done that a long ass time ago. But after that, I'm going to do the alpha bulk. But other than that, man, I've just been buying a lot of majestic bulk. Like there's a lot of majestics that are like 10 cents and 15 cents each on TCG Player and random sites. And I don't know. I think that's too low, so I'm throwing money at it. Me as a collector / investor, like that's more of an investment type play. And it's because nobody really wants the cards. And I'm like, well, in 3 years, there will probably be a set that utilizes these majestic cards from previous sets. I don't know which one, but probably. And if I can, get margins on those from 15 cents to $5 or $10, like, that's a big deal. So if, for instance, I buy 100 majestics for $20, then all I need is literally two of them to go to $10, or four of them to go to $5 to recoup the initial investment. And, of course, it's probably going to take a while for those to mature in value because, the new set probably doesn't have a lot of interactions with the current cards. A lot of the cards I'm finding are from Everfest, or maybe not Everfest. The other one, that has unlimited. That it has like lightning and ice.
Tails.
Tails, yes. Yeah. There's a lot of like fulminate and like some ice ones. But anyway, but yeah, that's mainly what I'm doing is just focusing on the alpha bulk, but then also set collecting. I've been set collecting in binders and trying to put that together. But yeah, what are you doing, man?
I don't know, man. But before I talk about what I'm doing, that sounds pretty evil what you're doing. You're buying those 15-cent Majestics up?
I
What if they
know.
become 30 cents?
Well, then players are gonna have to pay me an extra 15 cents to purchase those cards.
Yeah.
Pay,
Yeah.
pay the toll to Bronson for those 30-cent cards over there. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And you're buying all those unwanted cards, man.
I know. You put money into the game that you believe in. You know, the amount of belief is the amount of money you put in. That's all I can really say on that. Honestly, I have a really funny story with that. And it is really about the Majestic buys. Is I bought 100, I think like 90 Majestics for like $18 the other day, right? It was like 3 days ago. And I got a message from the seller instantly, and I was like, "Oh shoot, they're probably out of a couple cards," which happens often. So it's fine. And they said, "Hey, I saw you bought all my Majestics out. Hey, thank you so much for that. Please keep an eye out on my inventory as I regularly update it on a weekly basis if you want to buy more." And I was just so blown away, like, wow, they like that I bought their cards. And yeah, it's a sale, you know, it's an inventory that they'd probably have to hold on to for another 2 years. They don't believe in it. They don't think it's worth holding on to for that long of a time. So here I am.
You also made it easier too because it's one shipment instead of a million different other ones. So when you do buy bulk like that, it helps sellers too because it's very convenient.
Yeah, exactly.
So back to what I'm buying right now is I still try to pick up alpha when I can, usually bulk as well, but rainbow foils. I'll pick up bulk Majestics and whatnot too, but I haven't heard back from my seller recently, so I don't know if he has any more left. Because I
You
used
just
to
have
buy
one
a lot
seller?
From, I used to buy from one seller, and well, not one seller. The one seller I used to buy a lot of bulk and stuff from. He lives in Taiwan,
Mhm.
and then he buys from other people, whatever, and then sells to me. So I think I bought out most of the country already. So I don't know whatever's left. But the most recent thing I bought was because James White had an interview with the French channel. I forget what it's called. He's like, oh, you know, Azalea might be playable again someday, blah, blah, blah.
It's something about Ophidia, right? It's Ophidia something, the French
Yeah,
channel?
the Fidia group. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget the name of them, but he mentioned, oh, Azalea might be playable again someday. Again, Azalea's going to need next set. So I was like, all right, well, I want to be an evil investor. I usually don't buy unlimited, but I bought some unlimited Skullbone cross wraps because I'm like, oh, nobody wants that card. That has been pointless for a long time. So I bought a few of those, and I bought maybe like 10 to 20 of those, and then I did it multiple times, and then I bought 2 cold foils from it just to pick up some more of those. So
that's probably a pretty brilliant play if you did that a couple weeks ago, because just recently they spiked a bit after the Ranger announcement.
They spiked a bit, then dropped back down again. So I bought 10 more like 2 days ago.
Oh, nice. So, they dropped all the way back down. I think they were sitting at 60 for a bit, right?
Yeah, and they went down to 50 again. So I bought a few more of those. They're about 80 right now. I don't want to buy up over 80. So whatever. I bought what I wanted to buy out of it. And, you know, I think it's going to be a good card. It's one of those cards that got forgotten because it's the only legendary with the same hero that I printed twice. There's 2 headpieces for a Ranger, right? So like, what the fuck? Like once Tales of Aria came out, I'm like, oh, cool, I got a new Ranger. Skullbone Crossstrap's gonna be useful now. What the fuck? You released another Ranger helmet? I'm like, you fucking take the prices of Skullbone Crossstrap. No, so, all right, well, shit. What are you doing,
it's
James?
True. And it looked like a better one because you could have like 2 arsenals, which is wild.
Yeah, but at least Azalea still uses Skullbone Crossstrap. But I was surprised how they had this second helmet. Like, why didn't they make that a chess piece? But but anyways, so maybe it'll be useful again. But at the same time, too, is like that purchase might be bullshit, right? The sellers are happy they sold to me, but they also might be like, I might be like saying fuck, because Azalea might get another fucking new helmet that makes the Skullbone even more worse, right? So I think speculating on cards is okay, right? So when people say, hey, buyouts suck, it's bad for the players. Well, it's good for the sellers because there's plenty of stores out there who want your money, right?
Yeah.
And if the players aren't buying those cards, then somebody else wants to spec on a card potentially having value in the future. Why not fucking buy it? Take the risk. You know, it's a capitalistic society. You want to make money. I have a day job, right? I work 9 to 5 typically. I have my salary, but I try to put my money in other places that can potentially make me more money. Sometimes I fucking lose money. Sometimes I make money. It's a gamble, but you try to take educated guesses and make as much as you can with it.
It's how life is. It's how money flow is, and making decisions, being the best arbiter. And I know we're touching on a topic that what is it? Came up recently with the Flukenbox video talking about a specific situation. And I want to know. I want to say for the record though. Okay, so if anyone hasn't watched that video, basically Fluke was talking a little bit cryptically about a specific instance where a community member in the Flesh and Blood group or community who's a public figure has been putting thousands of dollars into specific targeted cards that are for players, and they're directly profiting off of increasing the value higher than that card should be, and they're basically profiting off of the players that they're telling you that they support. So he was just saying, hey, I'm against this. And ultimately, like, when you dissect that video, if we can go into that topic, like, I believe I agree with him. Like, if you are a public figure, personally, I think you should be ultra transparent. Say what you're doing, put out what, type of buys that you're doing and buyouts. Just be open and honest. Like, if you or I were making big plays in the background and then we talked about it and we didn't, you were like, oh, look, like Michael, if you're like, oh, look, all these dragons are going up in price. Maybe they're really popular. It'd be like, well,
I was like, who bought them, right?
Yeah, who bought them? It must be actual demand, but then you own like a ton of them, So it's kind of that. I think personally, his video is about transparency, but he talked a lot about capitalism and buyouts, and there's a lot to dissect there. But anyway,
well, there's an insider knowledge type thing, which could be bad. For example, let's say you get a preview card. You're like, okay, well then I'm going to buy out all the cards because I know the preview card. Now you have technically insider.
That's bad.
Right? That's bad. Me, I'm like, hey, I heard James White mention Azalea. Oh, I'm going to go online and buy some Skullbone Cross Wraps because that card might be useful in the future. James White mentioned last year, hey, these potions and trinkets are going to be good someday. Plenty of people bought those things. Have they been useful yet? No. So there might be something useful in the future for them, but people spec on the future, right?
Yep.
So there's knowledge you get online, or there's speculation, and people buy and predicting for that. If the card has no value, no one's going to open the set, right? So it's a balancing act of people spending money in the game because they believe in the game. There's players buying the non-foil versions of cards, but they want to spec out their cards to get the cold foil or rainbow foils, right?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. So there's a balancing act, though. But if you're saying, oh, I think the dragons are a good buy, look at the prices went up, then I put $10,000 into it, and I didn't say I bought all those dragons, that's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
That's pumping my own bags at that point.
Exactly. But like, it's fine to pump your own bags as long as you're transparent and the people who are viewing your opinion know exactly where you stand or what you're doing. So in that case that, Fluke illustrated, like, let's say personally, right? I came out and said, hey, Surgical Extraction, I've been secretly buying out that card, and I own like 4,000 copies of it, over there. Like, the community would probably hate me, and justly so. So if you're open and honest and you're telling the community, hey, those playable cards you like, those are the ones I'm speccing on and like buying massive quantities, then it's like, okay, well, that's kind of shitty. Whereas like you just said that you're buying Skullbone Cross Wraps, but you're only buying like 10 or 20 cards at a time. That is nowhere near the amount that would really skew, anything. Also, that one, isn't that reprinted in history pack? So
that's a history pack as well, too.
Yeah. So you're buying the more the variant versions with the rainbow foil. So that's where I kind of stand on that.
It's out of print set. The history's not. So there's still more cards on it. And who knows? There could be another one of those in the next set. There might be a non-foil version, right? So just look at like the what's the one that the helmet used to be popular? The skull cap.
Oh, I hope nobody spec'd on that. They would have gotten creamed. I think it's like $60.
Yeah. I bought a rainbow foil before Everfest came out, and that was $200 a time because I just want to have a rainbow foil, right?
Yeah.
Now the card's probably likely to be $80 or $60. There's a better helmet now. So that's kind of interesting too with the singles, though, is even old cards could get outdated because new cards come out, and then a lot of ones become irrelevant, whatever. So it'll be interesting how that works. Something like the Skullbone became irrelevant to an extent when the new helmet came out. Skullbone, Skullcap, whatever, became irrelevant when Uprising came out or Dynasty, whatever came out. That new helmet that people started using, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you spec, you buy the money, stores are happy, they sold it. Now you're left with a bag and you got to wait for it to sell, or you sell and lose money. So even the people doing buyouts lose money too. It's a guessing game. But whoever sold it to you is probably happy. They're like, yeah, I made $200, right?
Yeah,
So-
they made money. So yeah, and the thing is, like with surgical extraction, if anyone's buying that card out, I like personally, me and you, like, do you think that's a good play? I think that's a terrible play.
That's a terrible play long term. If they're flipping it, it's good now. Long term, it's bad because there's no reprint policy on the rainbow foils yet, right?
Yeah.
So they still could do it. They haven't. The reason why I'm still a little bit bitter about that, I had my last video about the cold foil Command and Conquer. I was like, what the fuck? You upgraded the card? But not just my own personal grievance. This card's getting uglier over time.
It's kind of true, though. You have a point.
So who's to say they can't reprint rainbow foils or make another alternate version of it? So, but even the surgical though might be the next set, right? Mm-hmm. So they have another assassin. Maybe they're like, hey, we wanted to have that card short printed in this set because we're gonna make it again next set, and they don't want to have too many of the same card. So who knows?
Yeah, if I was Legend Story Studios, I would reprint it in the next set and just non-foil, and I would make it 50% or more likely to hit for a Majestic slot, and just really slam it home. Because, like, I mean, the card I think is like $60 on the open market right now, but you know, even when the set came out, I was very surprised. I think it was like $40 or $35. But even still, if somebody's pumping that specific card and they're making it go from 35 to like 60, that doesn't make any, like, the profit there can't be much, because the thing with buyouts is you need to buy most of your cards at a smaller cost basis than what you sell. So if they were buying them on the open market, they couldn't have gotten too many at like a 35-40 range. So I don't know how much they are really going to make at the end of this unless they push it up to like $80. But even still,
well, it depends too if they open boxes too, right? So let's say you open a lot of boxes, whatever. You might already own a position on it, then you buy out the rest of the market, then you have the ones you sell. So there's a combination of different ways you can do it too.
But the market must be huge. I mean, like, let's say they own 1,000 copies and at $40 a card, that's $40,000.
Yeah. So who knows? It's surprising to see that card worth so much. I don't know how important it is in the deck, but even so, even if that card's not reprinted, maybe it's not needed in New Assassin, right? Maybe the New Assassin doesn't even care for that card. Yeah. Maybe there's a card that's better that fills that slot anyways. So you're specking on it, you might not even need it. But we also have the I don't know what the season's called right now, but you have the Road to Pro Tour, Pro Tour qualifiers right now. Mm-hmm. So if people are playing Assassin, they're probably gonna want to buy the card right now. So they're kind of pigeonholed to buy it right now if they're competitive and playing Assassin.
In the
I don't know how
term,
competitive the Assassin is right now. So it's a pro and con right there. So if you're trying to be competitive, you want to play Assassin, and you need that card, then shit, you're paying $180 for the play set.
Yeah. And that's a scenario that it sucks, where I see both sides of it. It's like, yeah, it does suck. Some players do have to pay more money to get the cards they need to play competitively. That is definitely a factor. But the counter to that is, well, what about all the people other than the players, and the players as well, who profited? Like, let's say a player opens a box and gets a surgical extraction. It's like, I don't want to play Assassin, I want to play another hero. Well, you can sell that card you got and get cards you want, you know? And more times than not, people opening those boxes will not want to play Assassin because, you know, there's tons of heroes. Only, you know, smaller percentage will want to. So, yeah, it is what it is, though.
But it's also, if you think about it too, is you mentioned some cards from Tails are 15 cents.
Yeah.
Right? Majestic. Now you have Majestic worth $40, $60. So now someone's like, oh, I'll open a pack. Oh, I'm excited about this Majestic. So it's a balancing act. People are like, oh, okay, well, the cards are too much money. Oh, the cards aren't worth enough.
Yep.
So now I can't trade or sell my card. So it's a balancing act. You need people to do, not necessarily buyouts, but you need people to want to buy the cards, hold them, to sell them, to make other players excited, because it makes players money too when they open packs. You might play an armory, pull a card, okay, $300, $400 because someone's willing to pay for it.
I hope the internet people again start saying that there's just investors and collectors, because like in 2022, especially, people just had the most amount of negativity towards, you know, there's no investors or collectors at all in Flesh and Blood. And I made a video about it. I was like, yeah, that's bullshit. You know, we exist. There are many of us out there, collectors especially. Like short-term investors, fine. Yeah, a lot of them hightailed it out to other tendies type of opportunities. But overall, the collectors are still there. And I think we're very happy that the market was very low for a very long time so we could like accumulate what we needed to.
But it's also a balancing act too, right? Because I have a decent sized collection and I'm trying to get a 9.5 alpha set, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I also bought a shit ton of stuff, right? So sometimes I'll sell stuff here and there too. So I get to meet the new investors coming in from Europe and stuff like that. So if I have a card on eBay and sell it, whatever, or even just direct sales, I sell off some of my extra graded cards, right? So it helps fund other purchases I make. So I still see other people coming in and buying the cards. They're unfortunately like, I'm like, oh my God, it wasn't as much as it was last year, right? So you're like, oh, it feels bad. Tunic was 10 grand last year. I only made 5 grand off it. Oh, I'm going to cry now, right? But I'm like, all right, well, I paid like, $300 at it when it first came out. So
yeah, right.
I was like, well, how can I really complain? But if you look at the whole market, it's down as well. And interest rates are going up. People are losing jobs, all those things. So last fall, actually, I sold a few things to get some cash flow going because a lot of companies were laying off people, right? So I was like, oh, shit, am I going to get laid off? So I wanted to have some cash on hand. So there's some balancing acts too.
Yeah.
And then also I started dating someone and I wanted to visit her in Thailand. She doesn't live in Thailand. I met her in America. So another day, I was like, oh, you met her in Thailand and you're going to visit her for the first time? No. I started dating her in Seattle. And then she had to go back to Thailand for a few months. So I made a vacation out of it over Christmas. It's like, all right, well, that's going to cost a few grand per flight because it was a last minute plan. All right, I'm going to sell a few more cards or like some cases, right? So sometimes you use the extra money because you need cash for other stuff. Life events happen too. So it's a balancing act. And I definitely like that the market's gone down. It's good and bad, right? Because I've been able to acquire more rainbow foils in bulk last year too. Mostly trying to get focused on rainbow foils, but if they come with bulk, I get those as well. But the grand scheme of things is you do your best guess with collecting, right? You want to do the long-term investment because ultimately that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you make good money short term, but sometimes you're like, okay, well, I have this amount of collection. I need some cash right now for whatever. And that's where your assets come into play. And as long as I'm fortunate enough, me and you got in very early, right? So technically anything I sell now, even if it's not top market, it's still more than what I paid for. So no matter what, I'm up on my sales.
What do you mean by balancing act though? Like between like personal and collection or?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Well, I also put a lot of money into it too, right? So technically all the money I put into it is I haven't got net zero on my investment, right? For example, I put like a few $100 grand into the game. So it's not a small amount, right? So if I sink all my money into the game for a while and I want to do something else with the money, sometimes I had to let a few assets go. Or if I want to buy something else, I let a few assets go. Or let's say I'm trying to complete my 9.5 alpha set, right? I have some cards I need to grade, but there's going to be some cards I'm probably going to miss, right? Then I have to go out and individually buy that card or trade for it, something like that. So it's a balancing act of maintaining my personal collection, balancing act of life. Let's say I want to buy a house next year. Okay, then maybe I want to raise some capital. I sell some stuff. I want to go on vacation to Thailand. I sell some stuff, or I use my money. So it's a balancing act on stuff like that. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Collection, life, and then also trying to manage your investments too. Cash right now is popular because everything else is going down. People are losing jobs. So sometimes you want to have some cash on hand too. And you're like, all right, well then let me sell some of my assets, have some cash, and all that. So that's why it's a balancing act. Especially when you invest so heavy into something like that. So it's a life event. Like Flesh and Blood is kind of like my life right now. I put my life savings to it.
Yeah, so. No, man, I know how you feel. I mean, well, because the best way to explain it is like back in the day in I think it was 2020, right? Man, this time goes by too fast. Yeah. You get to a point in Flesh and Blood where you analyze it enough, you play the game, you really get the full scope of it, and you think, whoa, this is something special. There's a lot of hard work and effort that was put into this game that it is underrated and it's going to last a long time. And, getting in early is definitely, I don't know. I was the same as you. I didn't put like my total life savings into it, but I definitely put like a ton more money than I've ever spent on any other TCG. It's been a wild ride, and like you, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else, especially
Oh
now.
no,
I
definitely
think the
not.
wave is over, like this huge wave of stuff. But it's definitely nice to acquire things every now and then and build your collections, do what you want. And you're right, there really is a balancing act because, like, I've definitely went on the teeter totter of more too much collecting, like in the
Mhm.
end of 2022. But I did so knowing that in the beginning of 2023, I got to like scale it back. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to complete my 1% goal of bulk, get that done. And then like I'll coast, in the beginning of 23 and try to sell some stuff. Definitely those, some of those Kickstarter TCGs were nice because, some of them were belly up that I invested in 2022, but the ones that I did make money, it was nice because it's like with Flesh and Blood, I hate selling. With those, it's great to sell,
Well, yeah, it really depends. Like I know Flesh and Blood has the legs to last a long time. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic game, right? So I feel a lot less risky with a game like Flesh and Blood because I'm like I totally believe in it. Like
Yep.
I dedicated about 2 years of my life playing it, collecting it, and all that. Right? I've cut back on the playing, but I still watch other people play. Still love talking about it. Still love collecting and all that. I'm looking forward to playing the more casual side of it. Hopefully PVE and stuff like that too. But it's just like these other games coming out have good money coming into them too, right? So I'm not gonna mention which ones I bought, but I have bought one recently that's looking to make like 4 or 5x my money on it, right? So it feels good. I'm like, hey, I could sell that one, even though I think the game's gonna do well. I like it, but I can sell it without the risk, knowing I'm gonna make the money now, right? I
Yeah.
think the game's gonna go more value later. That's good for them, but Fab is my risk, right? Fab is my long-term investment. Any other games, I might maybe keep some of it because I think it looks really cool. I'm glad to have backed it, but I don't want to do I'm holding this game forever, whereas I'm holding Fab for like as long as I can get my collection. So that's where it's nice to have. I guess I could say I'm flipping it, but I'm selling it when it comes out. So people want it, I'm selling it. I got it. I help support the game, help get it going. So it is what it is.
Something I don't do enough, I need to do this more, is look at everything I own, find stuff that has increased in value a good, substantial amount that I think might be a little over valued right on the market, and that I don't really, need or I have duplicates of, and just sell it and then buy a higher tier item. So one thing that I can point to is the gambler's gloves. I had 2 cold foil versions of that last year, and I sold one for like 700. And then I think I sold a couple other things, and I used those funds to get an alpha Welcome to Wrath, booster box in a case. I never bought one back in the day, and it sucks shilling out all that money, man, I'll tell you. But it's nice to just have one at least, to have one of each box like on a shelf. But I think that's a great example of like, okay, sometimes you can look at what you have, just take an inventory and say, hey, like, maybe I don't need this kind of stuff here. I can sell it out and then buy something else. And that's what's great about the market. It's like, it's kind of like your own little playground, and everyone is just collecting and buying and playing with different game pieces. And yeah, you're part of that.
Yeah, and there's something that someone always wants, right? Like for example, I have my 9.5 alpha I'm trying to get.
Yep.
I have some extra 9s. So I don't have it yet. But I have extra 9s or something like that. So I'll put those online. Or I might have some extra 9.5s. They're not my personal collection. I love them, but I have multiples of some cards, right? So then I put them on eBay or some privately like that. And then helps fund life goals. Like all right, well, hey, next year I might want to buy a house. Okay, well then I need to take some of my investment money up into Flesh and Blood, get some cash. I mean, I got my day job too on that, but it's just much faster if you sell some stuff. Sometimes. It's a balancing act. Like, oh, instant gratification. I sold that, get some money, plus saving up for my job and blah blah. But
well, that's a good example. So you want a 9.5 alpha set. You don't want 9.0s. So you get a bunch of stuff graded, you find all your 9.0s, and you're like, well, this doesn't go towards my initial goal. I don't need these. But then the 9.5s, then you keep, and you have that in your collection, So you use your collection, the game pieces that you that aren't achieving the goals that you need, and then you use that to fund other areas. I feel the balancing act.
Yeah, it's balancing act too. And I don't say, hey, I'm going to list all my 9s in the market. I don't do that because a lot of them I want to save over time too, because I believe they're going to go up in value over time. But if I want some money now, I'm going to list a few online. Okay. Hey, somebody else wants those too, of course. So then people buy it. It is what it is.
And if
then
you
the
ever,
price is good.
if you're having trouble getting a 9.5 of a certain like common or rare card, let me know. I'd love to do some transactions with you because I do have a good amount of Rainbow Foil Alpha and Arcane. So maybe
Okay.
we could.
If you're interested in 9.5s, I have some.
Oh,
Here's
I'm
what I
not.
get. I know, but if you're ever interested in like, oh, here's an extra 9.5. Let's see how I can get this go. But so this is a 9.5 Rainbow Foil. I have two of these.
That looks nice. Oh yeah, no. Personally, I'm trying to get just like a complete set of Alpha. So I'll definitely I'll hit you up. We'll make some deals. How much would it be like that card that you just showed me, a 9.5 head jab go for? You think?
I wouldn't list it for under $500. The reason being is Rainbow Foil cards are treated like shit. I don't know how many pop there are right now that just top of my head, I said 500. Doesn't mean that's what someone would pay for it. But the reason why I say that is when Alpha came out, people did not see value in it right away. So a lot of these Rainbow Foil cards were treated like shit. So I've graded tons of super rares, and those are like, I have a lot of 8.5s too and 8s because I graded a lot of them just to see the ranges of grades I'd get. People did not take care of them. Plus, a lot of times they come bad out of packs too. So it's just a combination of coming bad out of packs. A lot of people got them in New Zealand, treat them like shit. They played them without the fucking, sleeves.
Yeah,
problem.
they raw dogged
Like,
that shit.
They raw dogged that for sure. And now it's just like, okay.
I heard at Worlds, Matt Rogers was using an Alpha Cold Foil Heart to play in a deck, and this was Saint Stoy, and in a video recently, and Saint was like, Matt, why are you doing this? And he's like, well, I don't want to use the Rainbow Foil one because it could curl and a judge might come over it. And he's like, fair enough, but it's nuts that he's an Alpha Heart, but
I don't have that kind of balls.
yeah.
I mean, I used to play with the cold foil, legendaries and like double sleeve type stuff, but not shuffling them. But this before they had like much value either. I used to just put them in the double sleeves and played with them, put them in deck boxes and all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, but like the point that you just made is something extremely underrated, and I think that the general market for Flesh and Blood hasn't taken that into that consideration at all. Like, Flesh and Blood was released in October 2019. It only started to gain mass popularity as a collectible item in October of 2020. So it was a full year, and most of the alpha was ripped and played in draft and sealed. And this is a game that promotes draft and sealed events. So what do you think happened to all that like bulk commons and rares that after a game just got thrown out? I feel like a lot of this stuff, especially the Rainbow Foils as well, it's like nobody felt like it was a collectible the first year. Versus like you have, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, like current modern day cards, people just sleeve immediately because they feel like it's a collectible. But Flesh and Blood, I feel like not as many people did that. And
well, that's the first game, not maybe the first game, but at least that's the first game that really, in my mind at least, took off, became like the top 4, right? Again, competing. Like a lot of other games were out there, but maybe didn't have the value in it. So people saw Flesh and Blood. Okay, it's fun. New Zealand, whatever. I'll give it a try. It's raw dog to shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just wrecked it. So yeah. So I have a lot of commons and rares, Rainbow Foils that are like shit, and I have some that are gradable. So I have my gradable pile and I have my sellable pile too, and also like that, which I'll make play sets of eventually. But it's just those are just not the graders. Doesn't mean they're shit. They're just not the graders. But there are shit ones in there too, because there's tossed around, never been sleeves, played, shuffled, whatever. So
I kind of like that too. Well, I mean, as a collector, it's kind of cringe to see a card that's just beat to shit. But it's kind of nice to feel that, like, wow, the card that I'm holding, like, this probably saw some good gameplay. Probably had some good times with this card.
Yep, and it might have been when the first one's open too. Who knows, right?
Yeah, you never know. It's crazy to think that.
But so, what are your goals for this year then?
This year, definitely sleeving up a good amount of my alpha bulk. I definitely want to sleeve that up to make sure it's in proper condition so it doesn't move around a lot. I definitely think that right now is the Rainbow Foil grading of alpha time. Like that, those cards command a premium because even the common cards are like 1 out of 3,000, I believe, right? Is it something like that?
It's pretty low.
Yeah, it's pretty low.
Right.
I don't want to give a specific number. That's just an estimate, but take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, no, even the commons I think are roughly around 34,000 cards. But if a lot of them were thrown out in that year time of attrition, could only be like 15,000 remaining, and so many of those cards are probably in sealed product as well. But anyway, I digress. So essentially, I'm trying to sleeve them up because they might be gradable in the future, and I don't want to keep them in just a raw box and let them scratch. And I think if I don't, Saint would be a pretty sad face with me. So I heard he sleeved all of his alpha and arcane bulk, and I was like, man, I gotta do it too. Like it's probably a smart thing to do. But that's the main thing I'm gonna do. I'm still collecting the promo series, the LGS promo series. I haven't purchased those cards in a bit, notably because like a lot of times what I've noticed is like some of those LGS promos, like haze bending and like the some of them, like they start out like at $40 or $30, but then you just have to wait like 5 months, and they go down to like $10 a card or $6 a card. So I've been really trying to hold off on buying those immediately, because I've made plays in the past where I've purchased some things for 40 and then it goes to 10, and I'm like, I should have waited. So doing that set collection. I want to also set collect stuff like Uprising and Dynasty now, since nobody it has really eyes on it. They're focused on the new set. I've been using these top deck binders. Have you seen these things, man? Like looks like this.
I've used a Dragon Shield. Not Dragon Shield. I think I used Dragon Shield once.
These things are really nice because like it holds 500 cards, and every 2 sets I have in here. So this is Welcome to Wrath and Arcane Rising, and then I have Crucible War Monarch, and then the rest of the sets, it's cool. It's like Tales and Everfest are both in Aria, so it's like the region is in one binder. Same with Volcor.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm really liking that. But yeah, other than that, and my scummy Majestic play where I'm buying out all the cheap ass Majestics, I can't think of anything really that I'm like focused on. I mean, yeah.
Well, it sounds like a pretty big focus to me. 30,000 cards sleeve might take up the whole year anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, you might do that until 2024. But yeah, it's going to be quite an effort to do all that stuff, but yeah, it's good to take care of the collection. I didn't like spend I hate spending money on stuff that's like peripheral things other than cards. It's just it just feels bad. I'm like, I could have just bought more cards instead of this, but
you're protecting your cards. Same thing goes with grading, right? Grading's like $35 full price right now. You're paying $35 to grade a card that you may not get the grade you want. So you're paying for that stuff too, right? So
yeah, it's true.
I have a lot of 8.5s from CRU and some other stuff there. I'm like, all right, I'll pay $35 to get a grade 35. Okay, I got some right here. Here's a Coke's Commotion. 8.5.
Yep.
Still a beautiful card, but it's like, hey, I paid $35 to get it 8.5. But a lot of CRU ones I had were kind of bad, so I wanted to grade them, see which I could get like 9 or 9.5. I think I had 1.95, but I was looking to rush. They were closing down the place like 2 years ago. I was like, fuck it, I don't have time to like grade everything. I'm like, all right, here's 8 Cokes. I'm just gonna ship them all out, see what happens. Yeah. But now I have mindset what I'm trying to get for. I'm gonna be very picky what I grade with the Rainbow Foil Commons and Rares, because I don't want to pay $35 to get 8.5 for Rainbow Foil Common. That's gonna be more. The grading is gonna cost more than the card's worth. So that's where it comes different.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Yeah, because if you're doing the common rainbow foils, it's probably like those are really cheap cards, so you're spending like double or triple the amount of the card worth. But with, I guess, a Coke's, well, I guess, how much is a rainbow foil Coke's? Is that around $35? I
haven't checked the prices, but they used to be like 100 probably, because that's before CRU. Oh, wow. That's when like the things were like super popular, right? Before Monarch came out and the prices dropped across the board. But
every content creator made a PvE video and pumped that card.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be useful in the future, but it's not useful when graded. But nonetheless, it looks nice. So it preserves the card. It's a historical. There's only so many of those cards made. So my mindset when I was grading time, I'm like, all right, Well, the first 3 sets are very historical in nature, very
Mhm.
limited print runs. I'm going to just grade my rainbow foils cards. So I did a lot of them. I still have extra ones I didn't grade, but it's just one of those things like, all right, well, I need to preserve some of these, like historical pieces, even if it's an 8-5.
Yeah.
I'm like fucking 8-5s. But nonetheless, it's like, all right, I was like, I preserved it. But when I got them back, I'm like, fuck, I wish there were 9s or 9-5s, but whatever. I also grade some cards too to show how bad they were. Like I had some 6s as well. I think my lowest one has like a 4.
Oh
Um,
wow.
Yeah, I gotta find out later. But sometimes you just get shit cards. I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna grab a big pile. I'm gonna rush to close them down. I'm like, it's like I have a 20 blade. It's like a 6, like a extended art 20 blade.
Hmm.
Those are cool looking cards though.
Oh, those are really nice. Are
Yeah.
they going pretty cheap now? Like I know they spiked
$600,
really
$800, I think.
eight. Oh wow, that's still pretty high.
It's still pretty high. I paid like $100 for them. So that wasn't bad. But they got to like $1,500 at one point.
Jeez,
But it's
nuts.
hard to get out of that mindset, right? So you get like for me personally, I have to get out of the mindset. Hey, I was worth more money last year.
Yeah.
My stocks are down. Everything's down. Some new things are up when you get new money coming into it, but a lot of things are down across the board. So whenever I sell things like that, I'm like, hey, that was during a hype season. There will be a hype season again because Flesh and Blood is here for the long term. So people growing the game. They did an announcement today. They're trying to get Japanese print runs next year, like Japanese language for Fab in 2024.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Wow, that's
There's
huge.
an article today on that. And then the new set coming out has multiple release at the same time.
That I thought was insane. I made a video about
Mhm.
that. I can't believe how many different languages they have. Was it Spanish, Italian, French, and something else? I think.
I don't know, but they're really pushing it. So I really like what Ellis is doing with the growing the game.
Yeah, I spoke to somebody in my comment section today actually about that. He said he was in Mexico and said, sadly, the local game store near him doesn't have it, but he'll probably order on Amazon or something. And I was like, oh, do you think it's going to grow the game over there? And he's like, yeah, well, the kids these days don't really like to read in general. So, they probably really don't want to read English. And I was like, oh, yep, that makes sense, like. And
Yeah.
personally, I'm that way. I don't really like to read books and stuff. I like, podcasts and books on tape and stuff. So, like reading a different language card to play a game would be definitely an inhibitor. So, I mean, how do you like? It's either going to just keep the current players that or like. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to think of how it's really going to affect and if it really is going to grab hold in certain markets. Like, can you imagine if it really does like increase the player base by like, twofold or threefold because now you have like 5 different languages that you're printing in?
Well, I would love that because, like, first of all, they're gonna get new players to experience the game for the first time. Like when I
Yeah.
first played Flesh and Blood, I still love it. But I'm saying when I first got it, I was like, oh my god, what is this game? It's like drew me in. So anyone I hear playing a game makes me happy. So if more people get in it, that's great. Doesn't mean there's really more investors coming in too. For example, like this last year, the player base grew quite a bit. Doesn't mean more investors jumped in. There's still investors in the game. There's still some here and there, but it's not like when it first came out where everyone's like, oh, I need to buy every single thing I could get.
Yeah.
But you still have investors coming in like, okay, I'll pay $5,000 for like a tunic or whatever, right? So you still have those kind of people coming in. But this game keeps growing, growing, growing. It makes me more and more confident, which I already am, about the long-term investment of the cards I have, the collectability. So that means like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, I got these cards that very old. This game has grown really big. We're on set 69 by now, maybe
Yeah.
less, but by the time that happens, like, all right, hey, everybody wants this.
Time flies.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. And I mean, we look at it now with the market and it doesn't seem like it's like on fire doing crazy things, but I think cards are still pretty high. If you look at if you look at any booster box for Flesh and Blood and you look at the singles price, they're doing pretty good, especially the last couple sets. And I mean, my take on it, right? And this is a take I don't really hear anybody say is I think the reason why the older sets for Flesh and Blood aren't getting as much money is because Legend Story Studios keeps printing really quality cards that investors and collectors want. So the money keeps getting funneled there instead of the old stuff. Like if you look at the last set, like all those like the Marvel weapons and everything's like $60 a card, and there's a functionally unique, functionally the same card for $3, the non-Marvel version. So it's like they're making a lot of really quality products and the money's just funneling into the new stuff. And I don't, and you, for example, man, you got suckered in with those dragons hardcore. Like,
Oh, I love those dragons.
that
I'm
could
gonna
have
get
been
more
more
too. Once it
alpha.
goes, I'm gonna buy more this year too. So like, I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
buy more dragons this year. But I don't want to do it now because I'm like, hey James, don't print more boxes. So I'm gonna wait for him to say it's out of print or whatever. And I'm like, all right, now I'm gonna get more of those things. Because when I do that, like, it's gonna encourage people to open more boxes. Then also has to like, oh well, we're running out of boxes. Maybe we need more. Like, no, they just want more fucking dragons. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait till it's out of print before I do something like that.
Well, then they'll probably print the rainbow foil. Oh, I wonder. We don't have them reprinting Marvels yet, do we? We don't know if they're gonna have Marvels in an unlimited set. Well, no, I guess they're not going to do unlimited anymore. They're just going to do history.
History.
Pack. But would they print
We,
a
we don't know if
Marvel?
there'll be rainbow foil. We don't know if the history pack's been non-foil in general.
Yeah.
So-
Can you imagine a white bordered Marvel card? Like,
Make it ugly, James. Make it ugly.
yeah, put like a big yellow strip at the top or something. I don't know.
Make it a 6-figure dragon. I don't know.
But yeah, no, that's my. I think honestly, and it'll take a set where people aren't as interested in, where then people funnel more money into the previous collectibles, I think. But the market just keeps growing and growing and growing because like now we're on set number 9. Like set number 8 is released, so you have the whole market with those products. But when you and I were into the game, there's only like three versus 8 boxes and tons of other promo cards and everything.
And they weren't
else.
unlimited yet either. It's just the first editions. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why the market went crazy, is because it just wasn't enough. And those early sets only had like 16,000 boxes printed for, Arcu and Welcome to Wrathware, and Crucible War only had 37,000 or 36. So it's like when you look at the amount of explosion of cards, it's still maintaining. It dipped a little bit, but
But it is what it is. I mean, things dip, things go up and down. Even interest rates go up too. The house prices drop, right? So
yeah.
I look at those big things. I'm like, well, everything goes over price. It'll go back up. It is what it is.
Other than dragons, what are you collecting in 2023? I never asked you that. What are your evil buyouts in the market that we should all be aware of and purchase cards right now for?
I plan on watching Fluke closely to know what to buy. Just joking. To be honest, I don't really know what I'm going to be buying this year, but I do want to buy stuff that's neglected.
Yeah.
So mainly something like you, but maybe not the lower price cards, because I am too lazy to resell $5 cards. So I'd rather put money in like $30 or $50 cards, right? So if there's like any unlimited stuff there, probably Arcane Rising. All right. I think everyone's speculating there's much less Arcane Rising Unlimited than there is Welcome to Wrath Unlimited. So if I were to buy a legendary, I'd be buying out legendaries from Uprising just to be limited amount. And I'd pick ones that are lower price or neglected. So Skullbone Crosswrap, I'll keep buying that until the next set comes out, as long as it's within my price range. I'm not going to buy every single card up there. Someone puts $100, I'm like, hey, good for you. Someone else can buy it. I'm going to buy whatever range I see it at. So Skullbone Crosswraps there. Dragons, if Uprising gets an out of print announcement, then I'll feel more confident to buy maybe another 10 grand of dragons. I like them. Those are some I want for long term. So I'm not necessarily flipping it, but I'd want to get the dragons. And then I want to start being not lazy and set some more cards for grading. I want to set some cards for grading, so I try to get that alpha rainbow foil commons and rares. So I need to go through what I have, 9.5s and not start setting those cards in.
How close are you? How many 9.5s do you have now?
I'm not sure, but I'm missing 2 Majestics. So that's going to cost more money to get. I'm missing the Glance. I'm missing Lord of Wind. But I already have a Lord of Wind candidate 2 grade for 9.5. I got to see how it goes. And I'm missing the Brute card where he's slapping someone super rare.
Oh, yeah.
That's reaction.
Forgot what it was.
Reckless Swing.
Reckless Romp. No. Yeah, I think it was Reckless Swing. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you take 1 damage for doing it, but you also do damage back.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyways, I need that card. So I'll probably buy some more of those this year to get 9.5 candidate. Those are the 3 main ones I need because I have the cold foils up, right? I have all the cold foil commons, I have all the legendaries, and I got the Fable 9.5. So I need those 3, and then I have to go through my massive mountain rainbow foils and submit those. So I have the good potential to get it, but there's probably gonna be gaps in there. There's gonna be like a few gaps in here. It's gonna cost me money, or trades are gonna be required to get it done.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have to trade, and hopefully you can trade stuff that like other people need who are trying to get a similar thing. And how are you gonna store that? Like I remember when I first got into collecting cards, I watched this video where this guy had a complete set 9.5 of the Dark, and he had this like nuclear submarine briefcase that like he opened, and it just like there's all these graded 9.5 cards. Is nuts. Are you gonna have something like that, or
Yeah, I got on up to Amazon. I forget what it's called. I'll send you a link later, but I'm gonna need like a few of those too for my set.
yeah,
So,
because I think it's like 360 cards, right?
I forget. I don't. Maybe I have the 361. The one I have is like 100 something, I think.
Gotcha.
So 360 for the whole set. Yeah. So I'd need like three of those probably.
Yeah, that'd be wild, man. Like one day I gotta go over to your house and see the whole thing and hold it.
Yeah. You're like, oh my god. Here, just leave me alone for a little bit with this.
Yeah, right. I'll just be in this corner, just like in a whole pile of your slabs, just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I seriously, the good thing about having bulk is that it maintains the smell. I don't know if you've smelled it with your bulk, but I have it in bins, and every time I open an alpha bin, I get that waft of alpha card like smell.
I haven't smelled the cards for a while, but I know you love to smell them, so I gotta try it out again.
It has a distinct smell, especially Alpha, Welcome to Wrath, and Arcane. I feel like they were printed on a card stock that was very specific to those, but then the rest of the sets were printed differently. Especially what is it, Unlimited, that has a much more pungent smell.
They probably use a higher quality whatever for the first 2 sets. They're like, hey, we're trying to get the game off with it nice. Oh wait, these New Zealanders are not going to treat nice anyways. They're like, well, maybe that's why they put down the harder cards, like nicer cards. They're like, oh, these guys are going to treat it like shit. And then,
Yeah. I mean,
so to build better cards.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. I know in the industry too, it's really hard to like get the lumber you need in for certain places. Card of Monday Pride doesn't have a big issue with that, but I heard other printers like take a long time logistically to get stuff. But earlier, I think you were talking about. I'm trying to think what you were talking about. I think it was buyouts that we were talking about. So
In the beginning, yeah.
I wanted to gauge. So overall, our standpoint, you and me, right?
Yeah.
And this is like we've been talking about Fluke's video in the beginning, and he was talking about completely separate to this. But I think a big topic in among everyone out there in the industry is like, okay, is it good or is it bad? And I think that the one thing that you have to consider if you don't like buyouts, if you don't like big investors buying out, is that you need to think of, okay, well, what is the restriction that we're going to impose on someone, And it's easy to say, okay, well, we don't want someone to spend $50,000 or $40,000 like a month on cards, or $30,000. But then when you get into like 5,000, then it's like, I don't know, and then 2,000. So it's like, really, what is the level that you want, to impose? And it's just you get into this argument of like, how much do you want to restrict money coming into the game? And honestly, it's been great how it is so far. I think like I won a tournament a while ago, right? And I got one of those Fandale Spring Tunics, and it was just great to see like, whoa, this card is worth like 1,500, and now it's worth even more. Like, it's just cool to have that as a trophy. And I've heard so many instances with like people go to Worlds or other ProQuest events and they win cards, and then collectors and investors are in trench coats that walk up to them and like, hey, got this money if you want it, to buy those winnings that you got, and it pays for their whole trip. So I don't know. I think both of us are in the same boat of like, put as much money as you want in this game. Like,
Yeah,
it's
no
a good
limits.
thing.
Well, think about this too. Like right now, Everfest is like $200 a case, right?
Mhm.
If somebody wants to buy out the rest of those cases, are the players going to be upset right now?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. And then James will be like, ha ha, ha, we need unlimited Everfest now.
Yeah. Ship it out.
He's like, oh, the people want it. It's like, no, one investor bought it all. But you know, like for example, like if someone does that, or if someone bought it all the tails right now, are people going to be upset? Right? There's a lot of cards on the market. So if someone bought all the cases right now, they're going to be upset. Or if someone bought all the cards out that no one's buying right now, they're going to be upset. People could buy more boxes. So so there's a challenging part of it. So if you're if you're buying a card that's hurting players, I can see that being upset. Or you have insider knowledge and you buy it before other people have a chance to get it. Maybe that's the issue.
Yes.
But if you're buying old stuff that nobody wants and they might want it someday, you're taking the risk of buying it where you might just lose all your money.
Yeah.
Right? So you're taking that risk, and the players just said, hey, I didn't want it right now because it's not in meta. Okay, well, then you bought it. You're like, I'm going to hold on to it, and I'll sell it to you again when you want it. Okay, well, there you go. They buy it back from you like 2 years from now. Okay, well, inflation, prices went up. Okay, that is what it is. So I have no problem with people putting it, because whenever you buy something, you're helping store owners out, you're helping other sellers out, and you're creating future demand for the cards, where someone might not have even wanted to open the packs or boxes or anything else too. It's a mutual economy. Without the players, there's no game. Without investors, there's no game either.
It's really interesting when you dissect it all. You're right, because if there's no players to play the game, then the collectors are fucked. But then if there's no collectors and investors, the players are kind of screwed too. It's this dichotomy in a way, and I feel like there's a lot of that in Flesh and Blood's lore and story and just being. Like I don't know, I think this has been lost to time, but if you look at the articles of Flesh and Blood and you hit like the very, very back button, right, there's 2 articles that James White had in the beginning of the game, and the title was like, why are we not making a video game? And basically the first article said something about because we want to grow communities and we want players in our game. And then the second article was we want to create tangible, collectible game pieces that people treasure and enjoy. So he acknowledges the dichotomy between players and collectors and how there's like a symbiotic relationship between the two. And it's just really beautiful when you think about it overall and how it all plays out.
It is. And then like the gameplay is what got me in. The cold foil hooked me. I got addicted. I'm like, hey, take all my money, right?
Yeah.
And then all the people getting excited about the game, putting the money into it, got visibility of the game in and got the players in. So it's without the evil investors in the beginning and players, you wouldn't have the game where it is now either.
Yeah,
so
that's very true.
We all helped grow the game. So it is what it is. But like right now, like I don't buy a massive amount of boxes like I used to because I only have so much money. So now I'm like, all right, well, dragons look cool. I'm going to buy those. Or I'm going to wait for something else cool to come out. Or next set, I might just like, hey, I want a draft, right? So for this year, I want to start playing again. Not again, but I want to start playing like in the store. I want to go to the store, play some drafts and stuff like that. So that's kind of like, besides collecting here, I want to play in person again. So that's what I want to get back
Nice,
into.
man. Yeah, I definitely, if I have time, I'll definitely get back into playing, but it's going to be tough. I definitely want to go to the pre-release weekend event, but yeah, it's just, oh man, it's tough to even make videos. But one thing I noticed too, just the other day in your Discord, and this kind of shocked me, and I thought about, okay, we're talking about buyouts. This looks even worse. Did you see the Channel Lake Frigid fake or proxy? I think it was a fake card.
Something about the proxy was like the fonts were different on the defense, but yeah, proxies are shit.
That was scary. Like that is a big issue. There should be more. I definitely want to make a video about that. I think more people in the Flesh and Blood community should talk about that. Like that is scary because that is basically stealing money from players. Like if you sell a proxy to a player and they spend $20 and then they try to sell that proxy again for $20 and the store's like, no, like that's a fake card. you could get into a world of hurt where the store thinks you're an asshole, or and you're printing it and you try to get one over from them when you might not know any different, and if you sell it to a player and that other player finds out, then they might think that you're bad. So proxies have a lot of damaging impact on the game, and if that was just one proxy, I can't imagine how many proxies exist, especially other cards. And that was, what was it, channel like Frigid, so that's like a $20 card.
And last month, someone was they're telling it was proxies, but they're making rainbow foil Marvel Dragons.
Mhm.
Someone found a way to make rainbow foil versions of them. So someone was selling those. They told them it was proxies. They weren't hiding it. But the fact they were selling recreations of cards was pretty shitty. So they
Yeah.
weren't hiding the fact it was a rainbow foil, not a cold foil version of it. But they were printing them. I'm like, oh, that's pretty shitty. You shouldn't be doing that. You're just stealing artwork from LSS and making money off it. There's a difference
Yeah.
when you have a card from LSS and someone does a painting on it. That's different versus like a modification of a card versus reprinting a card in a different format. So
Yeah, I totally agree. And I've seen a couple other variants like that where people were saying it's a alternate art, but
yeah.
it was a recreation of LSS's image, but like extended. And I was like, nah, that's a fake card, or that's a proxy. It's not, that's you shouldn't be doing that. Like, if you want to make your own like fan art and print that on a trading card, by all means, live to your heart's content. But getting a picture on Legend Story Studios, site or anywhere that they own, copyright image, and putting it on a card and printing that out, even if you altered it a little bit here and there, that's still like you're printing cards. Like, you shouldn't be doing that, in my mind.
I'm not for that. I'm not for that either.
Yeah. I think that's a big issue. And can you imagine?
That's worse than buyouts.
Yeah, that's way worse than buyouts. Like, can you imagine if people are doing that for like, Crown of Providence, or, some other cards, like they're paying like $300 for, or Heart of Fandel, or, they're paying $300 and then they get like a proxy, and then the seller might complain to the seller, and their seller's like, I sent you a good card, and yeah, it looks good to me. And then, because like, it would be one thing if the proxies looked like obvious, but that looked pretty good, like good in a bad way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good as, it was too realistic. Yeah.
That is a huge problem. I wonder who's making it, and really, and I think I saw back a couple months ago, people are doing that with Command and Conquers as well, right? That's scary.
Yeah, I think they're doing it with the non-foil cards. I'm not too familiar with the copying, of cards, but it's bad that someone would do it in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't like it one bit. But at least they're not doing it one for one yet. They're not the same quality as LSS cards, but it's still tricky if you're not like, scanning the card.
Yeah. And people say that they're, like if I held it, I would know. But I mean, maybe that's true. I didn't hold the card that I was seeing when I've seen a couple instances of that. But it was, I don't know. It looked pretty crazy to me.
Yep. I don't like it one bit.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. So stop fucking doing that. Whoever's making
Yeah, right. We need to find them.
Yeah. Well, man, you got anything else to talk about?
I don't know. I think I should plug. I'm working with the Haven Game Store now. I
can't see your logo though. It's hidden.
I need to put it like over here. Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah,
Haven?
it's just the dice and everything. So they're 4 buyouts
Florida, right?
too, huh?
Are they out in Florida?
Yeah, they're out Florida. They're like an hour away from me. Really good guys. I have a promo code Bronson ! So you can use that when you're doing all your buyouts for all your buyout needs on their site. But
send me the links later, and I'll put it in the comments.
Sounds good. Put it in your Discord, man. Your Discord group is fire. Like the Salty Whale. What is it?
Oh, it's been busy. Yeah, I've gotten lazy in my videos, but the Discord's got more popular.
Dude, the Discord's really good. I would say this is a advocation for me that I feel like it's better than the original Wall Street group. Like now, like Wall Street kind of lost its magic, I feel, over the years. Like Whale Street's where it's at.
Well, that's why I made it. I'm like, fuck you. You guys talk about MetaZoo every day. You're like, have your pinkies out, talking about some random ass shit. I'm like, no, I want to fucking talk about Flesh and Blood.
Is that word banned in your Discord?
MetaZoo? No, you can say it, but it's in the shit corner. No, I have a channel called Other Boring TCGs. That's where you can talk about other things.
There you go.
But I filtered it. I didn't want it to be in the Wall Street. And so I have like a bunch of I'm not like a Nazi or whatever in my Discord. But But I have the Whale Street. Then I have like I keep making new channels because people going off topic. I'm like, hey, you go over here, go over here. But I just made a venting channel today because some people get stressed out sometimes. Like tell all the problems. I'm like, all right, I gave you your own little corner. We'll talk about your problems over there. You go over there. But we have like a working out channel where I sometimes post videos, put the pictures of me working out. We've got a channel for everything. It's fun. So it's like, you know, we talk about gameplays and everything in there.
And what is Whale Street? That's mainly like collector, investor, you know, talk with cards. Yeah.
And they do buyouts too. It's not a buyout group. Everyone does their own individual buyouts or purchases, whatever. But it doesn't mean we're a buyout group. We just like to buy and spec on cards. We put a lot of money into the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we like it. But that's what it's about. But you don't have to be an investor to be my Discord. We talk about everything. It's just fun. But we call it Wall Street just because the talking about Discord, whatever. But it is what it is. It's fun. We talk about what we think has value in the future, and then we talk about life, everything. Like when I was in Thailand, I was posting pictures all the time in the very off-topic channel.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was fun.
Yeah, and there's a lot of knowledgeable people, like people who've opened like 500 boxes or 1,000 boxes. So if you're ever interested in like distribution of pull rates, they're really good information over there from what I've seen. And just
Photo Heroes is our number one advocate of opening that group. So he's in that Discord like every day. And he's like drinking his wine. And he's like, "Hey guys, look what I pulled!" Like
I love that guy. He's an animal, like pulling all this stuff and opening all those boxes. And what's crazy too is he'll be like, "Yeah, I just opened like 300 boxes," and it's like, "I'm gonna order like 500 more of this box." And like, holy, like it's nuts. It's wild how much he's opening
and he's still excited.
Yeah,
he's like still excited. He's like, "Hey guys, I got a Command and Conquer!" Woohoo! I'm like, "Dude, how drunk are you right now?" But you're just having fun,
Oh yeah, and I just thought of this with buyouts and stuff too. It's a lot of the times I feel it's not really buying out; it's really just buying in. Because to do a true buyout, to like, if you think about like owning a percentage of a market share of a card, you have to buy a lot of that card. I would argue you'd have to buy for a solid like 6 months on TCG Player and like continuously buying every week to accumulate enough portion that gets you like 10% of the print run of that card, which gives you, an interest in that card. Whereas a lot of times just buying in, especially with me and Alpha Bulk, it's like someone, had said, "Hey, like that's kind of weird that you're doing that." And I was like, well, Arcane and Welcome to Wrath are big sets. Like there's 12 million other cards that you can buy that I don't have, So, it's just buying in. Now, if I bought like 10% or 20% of the print run, then I kind of have a, influential impact, I believe. There's a sort of thing there.
Yeah, I call it taking position because you're not technically buying out. You're buying what's available currently, and then other people post again. So, like you said, you have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it forever to technically have a buyout. You're like, I'm taking a position.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And I've done a couple buyouts in the past, which has been fun. And when I say buyout, it's very, very tame. I will say, like there was a point in time.
I think, is that about it?
Oh yeah, 50 grand, easy. Okay. Just take that out of my walking around money wallet and just throw it at TCG Player. No, but like Fate Foreseen Red and Sink Below Red first editions, I bought out like a year and a half ago. But dude, Michael, they're so cheap. They were like $3 a card, and like there's only like 20, 25 a piece on TCG Player. So I like bought them out and I relisted. And I sold a couple of each for like $15 a card. And I was like, oh, sweet. Like I made a lot of the money that I did the buyout for. And that's, I think people don't talk about that as much with buyouts, but have you ever done those plays where you're like, okay, I'll buy out 100 of this card. It'll spike the price up to this. And then all I have to do is sell out like 8 cards and I cover my cost basis. And you're able to do that over a month, right? And it just feels
a lot when the rush was going on when it first came out, like the October 2020.
Yeah,
I used to buy legendaries for like 100, then I'd sell them for 300. Then I'd find a place to buy them again for 200. Then I'd sell them for 400. I did that over and over and over again for like several months. Yep. And then I put a lot of that money into Monarch, and then I opened a lot of Monarch, and now I'm sitting on some Monarch.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but then I also put that money into Tails. I also put that money into Everfest, and I put the money into Dragons and other stuff. So I'm grading cards too. But yeah, I've done that a lot in the past. I don't do it as much now. Mostly, I just got lazy over time because I did it so many times. I'm like, man, it's too much work. I need to pay someone to do it for me.
Well, and you get to a point where you're like, I have enough, or like I have a lot of stuff, and it's doing pretty good. But and basically when you're buying out stuff, I think a good mentality is you're basically telling the market that it's wrong. You're saying, nah, I don't think that card is worth that. It's worth this, and then you're buying it up, and then if you're wrong, you can't sell it, and you don't get your money back. And a great example of that is what is it? Another buyout I did a while, and I say buyout, but I only spent like $250, and I bought out all of the Alpha Welcome to Wrath baubles for like $5 or $3 a piece, and I tried to list higher. Nobody bought at a higher price, so it's like currently I haven't made my money back. So it's like I said the market was wrong, and the market came back to me and said, "Hey Bronson, you're an idiot." No, the market was right all the time, or
people need to respect the bobble.
Yeah, they do.
They do. Yeah. No, they'll be popular in the future. Who knows?
Oh
maybe
yeah,
maybe it'll be a hero that plays with baubles.
Well, there is the shitty Christmas present card. Do you see that?
Yep. Yeah, you put baubles in the deck. Yeah.
But I think you can only use it in Ultimate Pit Fight, right? I think so.
I didn't read it. I'm not sure.
It's pretty cool. You can basically like put baubles in your opponent's deck. So like you could get like 2 remembrances and 2 shitty Christmas presents and put like I guess the total would be like 6 baubles in your opponent's deck. And if they have no way to pitch it, they kind of are screwed. But the thing is, like, it doesn't really, like, it's a bad strategy, but it'd be fun to make a deck revolving around that. And you just give a bunch of people baubles in their deck.
Just make their deck junk so they might have 4 baubles in their hand.
Exactly. And then they
actually,
can't do anything.
If you fill their hand with baubles, they can only use their weapon. Then.
Yeah, you're right. They could only use their weapon.
Yep. Or equipment or whatever. But yes, nonetheless. But good luck with the baubles. I think they'll go somewhere someday.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm holding. I think it's a really good card. I graded a couple at Worlds, got a couple 9.5s. I wanted a 10, but wasn't able to pull that off. But yeah, no, just yeah, man. Flesh and Blood has just been wild. I just can't believe time has gone by so fast, and we're already at where we're at. And I can't believe all these sets with all these cards. Like back in the day, I feel like it was easier to just build a deck, but now you have to think about all these different circumstances. Like if you're going against all these different decks, you need to tweak your deck and modify it each, different way.
That's why it's taking me a little bit to get back into it. It feels like jumping into an old MMO.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm like, that's why I want to do draft right now.
Yeah, what are all these buttons?
Because you have to relearn everything. So I'm like, all right, if I can do a draft, I just play the game. So that's what I'm looking forward to the new set.
What about Fi? Red deck wins. Yeah. I mean, you like Ninja.
I like Katsu. I like combo.
That's
true. I don't like the free go again. Just go again. The new Fi didn't interest me whatsoever.
Did you play aggro Katsu?
Oh yeah, I'm very aggro, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean that's good then. So you don't have to switch it up too much. But a couple of matchups.
I like combos. And then Fi just wants go again. So yeah. I like the combo mindset. I'm a Katsu, boomer Katsu, whatever you call it. That's my guy. So I like to play the jankiness of the combo.
Yeah.
It's hard to pull off, but when you pull it off, it's fucking fun. If you have a card that says go again, I'm like, it just says go again. I'm like, where's the challenge in it? So
yeah.
That's my mindset on that.
Yeah, I feel you there. And I have never pulled that off in Katsu where you get the whole line with the Mugenshi release, but be nice. And Katsu specifically is going to be in the new set. That'll be fun. Yeah, you draft Katsu.
That's another reason why I get to play Katsu more.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can draft him.
Yeah, I've never stopped playing Katsu since I played him. I've been playing him for 2 years now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Except when I play against Bravo. It's not awesome.
Do a lot of crippling crush. Yeah, it's interesting. One thing I've been thinking about too is how they're weaving different sets from one another. I'm probably gonna make a video on it soon where they weave Icelander
You know how she came from Arya, and
Yeah.
once Arya block was done, they like talked about how Icelander traveled to Volcor, and then once the Volcor set block was done, it ended in the regicide where that one spider guy killed the emperor. So then it goes to the pits, you know? So I feel like what we're going to see in the future is like these sets, like the last set of every, 2 set block is going to have an element that moves the story plot to that next region, which will be cool.
It would be cool, but I want more story. Like I
Yeah.
thought it was cool how they had like Shiana, Icelander, and all that stuff talking about like uprising coming up. I haven't seen Shiana since. There was a whole cool story with Dorinthia. I haven't seen her since. There's a lot of building, but I want to know the answers now. Like
I
don't have to wait
know.
5 years for the answers. I'm like, come on, I need now. What's
I
going
think
to happen?
the lore is so damn good, and people don't because people aren't really acclimated with it all, like on like the discords and everything. I mean, the lore book is just absolutely good. Did you ever pick one of those up?
I did, but I let it go when it was worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
I should have kept it, but it's in the two. I have so much stuff. So I've read it. I liked it, but I want more. I want
Yeah.
more lore.
I agree. I hope
And
they
I like-
come out
I
with
like-
another book.
I liked it when they were building story up to the lore, like the uprising. Like they had like day 5, 4, 3. They kept doing more stuff. I like how they give cards to content creators here and there, but I wouldn't mind if they built it more into lore instead of just random content creator stuff. Like, how do these cards fit into the story?
Yes.
I want more of that instead of the game's growing, right? So it's still good to give cards to content creators, but fucking build some more lore into the set release. Get me excited. I want more lore.
I
Uprising
agree.
was doing that a bit, and then Dynasty was kind of like weak with it, in my opinion. They did a little bit to Emperor, and they're like, hey, Emperor, he's dead. Okay, so what's the impact on it? You made a guardian guy supposed to protect his fucking ass. Where was he when he got fucking assassin?
Oh,
Like,
that was so good.
yeah.
Those memes, like it was like the Yoji, like where were you? You were
You
supposed
had one
to protect
job.
me.
You had one job.
You
You're
had
a new
one job.
hero.
Oh,
You-
so
you
good.
did- Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
like how do you think like from my standpoint, I've said this a while that I feel like Legend Story Studios is like putting all these puzzle pieces together, and they want us as a community to piece it all together. So it's kind of like the thrill of figuring it all out. But maybe like it's like too complex of a puzzle that just people just gave up on it. I don't know, because like one big theory I have for the new set, and I made a video about this the other day, is that I think that Benji is a time traveler. And the reason why is because when you read like a text in the new release for Outsiders, it says like things from the past are infiltrating the present. And it's like, from what I remember, Katsu is on a journey to help his clan, like the Magenshi clan. So he's on a quest to find like some object. And I'm like, well, how does Benji really fit in? Because when you read the Katsu lore, Benji's not there at all. So it's like, and then also, that sentence specifically talks about it, and it just kind of like clicked in my mind. I was like, okay, maybe he time traveled too, and then I don't know, but but this goes into the effect of us, the community, have to kind of like put these puzzle pieces together and kind of like go off on tangents, instead of
Like,
actually
why is he here? Why is he
having
in the
stuff.
pit? Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless Katsu bumped into him and he's like, hey, I want to go to the pit. Do you want to come with me?
Yeah, right. And Benji's like, I'm not doing anything. Might as well.
Might as well, yeah.
I'll follow orders from a stranger, sure.
Yeah, right. Who knows? It'll be interesting how this all works out, though.
Yeah, but I agree. Like once the whole lore comes out to where people can readily understand what's happening, I think people are going to be blown away. Like just absolutely blown away by how in depth everything was and how fleshed out it was.
We're making anime on Netflix. The people yes, just do that. Like a Castlevania style. Oh, fucking love it.
Oh yeah, something like some anime style. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, man, it's gonna be, and they're called Legend Story Studios, so you'd think that they'd have a really good storyline, Who names themselves Legend Story Studios and they have like really bad lore, right?
Yeah, so they have good lore, they have story in there, but let's get the fucking like books out. Let's get some merchandise. I want to wear some shirts. I want the LSS like chair too. They have like the chair they have at events.
Oh yeah, the Secret Lab one.
I would buy that.
That one looks really cool. It's not publicly available to buy.
I haven't looked, but
I don't think so. I think
if
you're
they
right.
made it really apparent that hey, you can buy this, I would buy it. But yeah,
Yeah, that thing looks really nice. Yeah, and just having shirt or merchandise. You
Yeah.
think they're going to ramp that up in 2023?
I have no.
I mean, they
idea.
got the socks.
I would like a pair of socks. Socks would be nice. But even a shirt or beanie or whatever, give me something. A hat,
Yeah,
like a hat.
I guess
We'll
it'll
see.
come soon.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
man, it's been really good catching up with you.
You too, Michael. It's always a pleasure, man.